Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope you're well. Welcome back to Learn English with British Harry, and today this is another slow English lesson, and this is designed to help you with your pronunciation, your listening skills. So I was thinking about when it comes to learning English, it's nice to think about different topics. Now there are so many different topics to learn about. And today I wanted to talk about tennis, particularly because we have Wimbledon coming up very soon. And notice how I said particularly. This is one of my favorite words and it's quite nice to say. So you can repeat after me, particularly. And Wimbledon is a special occasion in the UK because the weather starts to get a bit better. Everyone is out and about playing tennis. And do you play tennis? Let me know in the comments below. I do enjoy playing tennis, especially when the weather is better. When I was younger, I used to follow tennis a lot more than I do now. I think it's because I had more time. When you get older and you have more responsibilities and you have a family, it's very difficult to spend time on your hobbies. So I watch the big tournaments when they come around. When I was younger, I remember players like Andre Agassi, Pete Sampras, and I have fond memories and nostalgia when I think about these players. So nostalgia is when you think about things from your past. And sometimes you can have rose-tinted glasses. When you have rose-tinted glasses, this means that you look at things in the past and think they were better than now. But this isn't always the case. I think it's because you have a personal connection to the past. So you have those fond memories. I remember when I first saw Pete Sampras, he was an amazing tennis player and he dominated Wimbledon. It felt like he kept winning year after year after year. Now, you haven't really had any British champions. I remember a player called Tim Henman, and Wimbledon even named one of the hills, I think it was Henman Hill, and there was a big screen outside for people to watch the match that were unable to get a ticket to go inside. And he did pretty well, but he didn't get to the final, if I can remember correctly. So he put up a good challenge and he was seen as an underdog. So an underdog is someone or a person or a team that is not expected to win. So it's quite fun to root for the underdog. When you root for something, this is when you support them. And it's fun to support the underdog because it makes the match more exciting. If you know this person is going to win, sometimes it can feel a bit boring. And I think that's only human nature because we want some kind of emotion. So we want some tension, like there's some unpredictability there because we're thinking, will he win? Will he not win? And the longer the matches go on, the more the excitement builds. So you had Pete Sampras, Tim Henman. Then we had a new era, it felt. So when Pete Sampras retired, you had players like Federer, Nadal, and that battle was really interesting because Federer was very good in terms of technique, and I think this is because he used to play a lot of squash. So his technique was outstanding, and when something is outstanding, it's better than normal. So instead of saying very good, you can say outstanding. And Nadal, on the other hand, he was more of a physical player, so he had a lot of stamina as opposed to Federer, who had a lot of technique. So it was an interesting contrast between the two. and I really enjoyed watching the matches, even on the women's side as well, with the Williams sisters and seeing their progress. And I think it was really good for diversity as well, to see people of different color actually winning and gaining a lot of support. So I think it was like the golden age of tennis. Then you had players like Djokovic, who seemed quite robotic, if I'm being honest, but a very good player. It just seemed he was good at everything. One player that springs to mind is also Goran Ivanisevic. I'm not sure if you remember, but he had a monstrous serve. He had a huge serve, and it was just so exciting watching him serve, because of the build up to the serve, and he could just serve incredibly fast. So when we think about different strokes in tennis, so a stroke is a particular movement that you do in tennis. So you have the serve. The serve is something which I am terrible at, because you have the toss, so you have to throw the ball up. So in terms of the verb, so you have to toss the ball up, which you are throwing the ball up, and you have to throw it in such a way that it's not too far and it's not behind your head, and then you have to hit the ball. So that's the serve. You have the forehand, you have the backhand, and you have different variations of this. You can have topspin, and you can have backspin, you can have the slice. One of my favorite strokes is the backhand slice. I love this stroke because it confuses people, because when the ball bounces, it will spin in the different direction that they expect. So the other player is going to hit the ball, so they set themselves up to place their foot close to the ball so they can strike the ball, but the ball would bounce in a different direction. So here they have to readjust, and it puts their timing off. And so with tennis, a lot of it is due down to timing rather than brute force. If you can have good technique, which is good timing, then you can play a really good stroke. So you have other strokes like a volley. So a volley is when you go close to the net and you hit the ball before it bounces. You have the smash. Again, you smash the ball before it bounces. The only difference is that you are hitting the ball overhead. So there are quite a number of strokes when it comes to tennis, and I think that's what keeps it interesting. So you have to learn to master these different strokes, and it depends on the surface that you're playing on. Are you playing on grass, clay, concrete? A lot of tennis courts are concrete. For a lot of people that play recreationally, so if they just play for fun, a lot of the courts will be concrete, so the ball bounces quite high. When it comes to watching a formal match, there are quite a number of people involved. So if you think about it, you have the two tennis players. If it's a singles match, if it's a doubles match, you would have 4. You will have the referee, you will have the ball boys or the ball girls. And it's a bit strange why they are girls and boys and not women or men, because I think a lot of men or women would enjoy doing that job. So that's a bit strange, but I think that's due to tradition, and a lot of tennis revolves around tradition. Then you have I guess they are the lines people. So they would look at if the ball is over the line. So you have the baseline. The baseline is the line at the back of the court. And if the ball goes over the line, it's called out. When it comes to scoring in tennis, also that's a bit of a strange system. So you have 15, 30, 45, and then you win the point. So you have 4 points to win. If it is equal, so we have, if it's 15 each to either tennis player, we would say 15 all. And when it gets to 40 all, it's called deuce. And then when it's deuce, the next person that wins the point, it's advantage. And then after that, the person wins the game if he wins that particular point. If he doesn't, then it goes back to deuce. So it can be quite interesting, and it builds up tension if the player goes to advantage, back to deuce, back to advantage, back to deuce. So as a spectator, so a spectator is someone that is watching the match. As a spectator, it is really interesting, I think, to watch, because it's a form of entertainment, and it prolongs the entertainment, so it's not short. So you can actually get your money's worth, especially if you paid a lot of money to go and watch the match. Before I was talking about tradition, and with Wimbledon in particular, the players wear white, and it's a bit strange because why are they wearing white? So their t-shirt, their shorts will be in white. Yes, they may have some logos, but predominantly it's light. It's white. So when I say predominantly, I mean that more of it is more of something. So here it's predominantly a white color that they wear. And I was researching this a bit, and I found out that it's due to sweat stains. So the judges thought that it was improper to have sweat stains visible, and wearing white will hide these sweat stains. So I thought that was a bit funny, that tennis, and 100 years ago, tennis was very prim and proper. When I say prim and proper, I think in terms of everything has to be neat and organized. It cannot be expressing your own style, for example. And I think that ties in with tradition, and it can be a selling point, and a selling point for tourists as well. If we think about why people travel to a certain place, it's because of that tradition. And especially in the UK, when you have a lot of old architecture, you have a lot of tradition, so many people like that aspect in terms of the royal family, for example. What I think is good practice is to think of a tennis player that you like or that you know about, and think about some adjectives you can use to describe this particular player. Is it things like resilience? So when someone is resilient, they are able to get past any difficulties, they can keep going. Do they have any particular strengths? Like they are exceptionally good when it comes to having a rally. So a rally is when the play keeps going back and forth. Oh yeah, I remember another tennis player who is Andy Murray. And Andy Murray is Scottish, but the UK media liked to promote him because Scotland is still part of the UK. So the newspapers and the media can say that the UK has had a good champion. So let me know what you think about tennis. Have you ever played tennis? Why do you like tennis? I like tennis because it's a relaxed sport. You do have things like pickleball or paddleball, which have become very popular. I've tried pickleball. I do enjoy it because there's less running and it's a bit more faster. Also, you don't have to have a really good serve, so I think it's more accessible. And when it comes to tennis, oops, a bit windy there. When it comes to tennis, you have to have the special equipment, so it's not that accessible for everyone. When something is accessible, this means that it's easy for someone to participate, because you have to have a tennis racket, you have to pay for the tennis balls, you have to pay for the tennis court, so there are more costs involved compared to a sport like football, for example, where you just need a ball. So sometimes certain sports, they can alienate other people and a group of people unless you have the money to participate in these sports. But I think tennis is good because it can be a very social sport. It's quite fun and it can be less boring than going to the gym or going running. So I think in life, variety is the spice of life. So it's nice to try different things. So let me know. Oop. It's really windy there. So let me know what do you think about tennis, and I hope you enjoy this lesson. To keep improving your fluency, watch this lesson next. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.